Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to AR Radio Sal Jeruna, Spain. Today, 30th August 2021. We close to the end of the month. As usual, Monday to Friday. Today, Monday. Now bringing the news from Banjul, the Gambia, from the bulletins. Let's see what emerged from them. The headlines first, then after the details. We start with Standard newspaper. Standard newspaper. The first story on Standard newspaper. Rival APRC faction unveils no coalition agenda. Barrow extols massive crowds at NPP Banjul and Fonyi, as they said. Then, gas explosion destroys shops and car in Brikama. UDP regional spokesman counters Hamad Ba. VP Toure receives 500,000 check from AG for disaster victims. And also, UDP vows to prosecute Jame era perpetrators at manifesto launching. Esa Fall says Gambia's health system is a death trap. Scorpion preparation event scrapped for lack of funds. So those are the headlines from Standard newspaper. Let's see Point newspaper. Point newspaper. Gambians could apply Senkem visa from Banjul. They said Gambians could apply Senkem visa from Banjul. And also, KMC driver allegedly assaulted by economic forces. UDP launches manifesto 5-point agenda. December polls Fall outline 22 key priorities if he wins. And also, GARD urgent resolve to avoid catastrophic health crisis. COVID-19, Gambia registered 96 new cases and 3 deaths. The national news from Point newspaper. GRCS partners launch 1 million trees planting project. AAITG and partners through funding from the EU distribute goods worth over $500,000. GPU trains 25 journalists on post-COVID-19 reporting. WFP hands over constructed airport canopies. WFP hands over constructed airport canopies. So those are the headlines from Point newspaper. Let's start with Standard, the APRC. The headline, rival APRC faction unveil no coalition agenda. They insist on that. Now the detail, read by Hajaram AR Radio Sal Jeruna, Spain. A large crowd of supporters of former President Yahya Jammeh's Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction gathered in Lamin yesterday to hear and show solidarity to the agenda for no coalition with the NPP, National People's Party. The meeting was called by a group of APRC supporters, including prominent former and current senior officials opposed to the idea of forming a coalition with the NPP of President Adama Barrow. The rival group accused the Fabakary Tombong Jatta, executive of selling the party to Barrow against the advice of founder and former President Jammeh, whose last public message was for the party not to join any group to contest the election. The Fabakary Tombong Jatta-led executive has always denied that, saying they are working for the interests and with the blessing of Jammeh. However, speaking in an audio recorded from the meeting, Alhaji Sanyang said the Lamin meeting was well attended by responsible members of the party who are strictly working according to the advice of President Jammeh. Yaya Jammeh told everybody in an audio with the Fabakary Tombong Jatta executive that the APRC will not join any party unless we hear Jammeh's voice again saying something else. We are saying no to any coalition. We are here in full force. This meeting is very impressive and very important given the attraction it has among responsible APRC male members. Anyone who thinks that he owns APRC would come to think again. Operation No to Coalition is a big force that will impact in a big way. Sanyang said from the meeting venue, writing from London, a staunch critic of the Fabakary Tombong Jatta executive and big force behind the No Coalition agenda. Lamin Tamba said no to Barrow and NPP alliance getting off the ground. This is just the beginning. Like we said, any betrayal of Jammeh for poor Barrow's sake will fail. Foundations are being laid for APRC's presidential campaign. Funds will be raised. Mobilization and groundworks have begun. Can't betray us or bully the great party supporters and expect no response. We don't mind an alliance, but must be supported by Professor Jammeh and the general APRC membership. The few can't be taking handouts of the expense of the many. Can't force people in politics. APRC has the best policies, but you will never hear them talk about them. APRC has now turned into UDP character, he said, assassination and fake news propagations. APRC leaders never talk about APRC anymore. It's all about Barrow and his NPP and how much they will get from him won't happen. Meanwhile, the rival group meeting was also attended by M.A. Ba, former Interior Minister Ba, who was expelled by the Fabakary Tombong Jatta executive, former Speaker Abdoulaye Bojang, executive member Abdou Jaju, among a host of prominent APRC supporters and former senior officials. It ends there. So stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be back in a second. The UDP. The headline, UDP vows to prosecute Jammeh era perpetrators at manifesto launching. This one by Omar Ba, standard reporter, collected by him and read by Alhaji Air Radio Sal Jeruna, Spain. Now the details. The United Democratic Party has launched its manifesto with strong emphasis on prosecuting perpetrators of crimes under former President Yahya Jammeh. The party, which was registered on Wednesday, 23rd, 1996, marked its 25th anniversary on Friday and used the occasion to unveil its manifesto for the coming presidential election as well as remember its fallen heroes. UDP leader Ousainou Darboe said the 25th anniversary marks a significant milestone in the history of our great party. The circumstances leading to the founding of the UDP made it imperative that we must measure up not only to the demands of pluralistic political dispensation demanded by the 21st century, but must also accept that the old politics and dogmas will now not do. 21st century Gambia needs a new kind of politics that creates the environment for a high energy democracy and a new theory of government that is value adding and economically empowering, he said. TRRC. However, answering questions on how a UDP government treats the TRRC recommendation, Darboe said we will make sure that any recommendation that comes out of the TRRC, if we are in government, and I think we will be in government, we will implement them. When the recommendations come out, I believe the government should be not legally but morally obliged to implement them. A UDP government will certainly enforce the TRRC recommendation to the letter. He said if we have legal obstacles in enforcing them, we will ask experts in other places to help us circumvent them. When I talk about legal obstacles, I mean issues of jurisdiction like places of trial and of so forth. Places of trial and so forth. I want to echo here that I am in agreement with the former Attorney General that the culprits will be prosecuted, Darboe said. Lawyer Darboe added, whosoever is out of the country, if you step your foot here and we are in government, we will certainly prosecute you. And I said this, and I cannot be bothered if anybody deny me a vote, because these are principles that we believe in, and we are not going to compromise them just because we want any particular people to support our election bid. Manifesto. The UDP manifesto highlights the 5 priority areas the party intends to focus on in first place 100 days in office. The 5 priority agenda will focus on public sector reform, tackling corruption, and women empowerment. The party intends to focus on youth empowerment through skills training, education, agriculture, and fight against corruption, energy and digital infrastructure. The party also launched its website. Darboe will only debate with Barrow. He said Darboe will only debate with Barrow. Commenting on the need for Gambia's politicians to start debating on policies to give voters the opportunity to know the policies they have for the country, the UDP spokesperson Almami Tal said Ousainou Darboe is the former foreign minister and the leading contender of the 2021 presidential election. The UDP is open to debate, but the most important debate we want to have is with President Adama Barrow. It is not very difficult to win debates. You just need to be able to have few punch lines and sound bites. We can do that even in our sleep. But the UDP is calling for a whole transformation of the political discourse because sometimes the debates can become an exercise on who can speak English better than the other. And I don't think really any Gambian doubts the ability of the deputy doyen of the bar to debate not only in the Gambia but anywhere in the world, Tal said. It ends there. So still with UDP, let's go back to the other one, the other story we want to bring is UDP regional spokesman counter Hamad Ba. UDP regional spokesman counter Hamad Ba. This one by Amadou Jadama, read by Alhaji Jadama. Now the news in detail. The spokesperson of the United Democratic Party in North Bank region has described as foolish comments that President Barrow is here to stay. Njai is responding to Hamad Ba's recent claim to visitors from YBK Yorubakunda that President Barrow will be re-elected in December because he is the one who represents all tribes and developing the country, as well as NPP campaign manager Lamin Cham's claim that Barrow would stay in power as long as he wishes. However, according to Karamonjai, he would rather reply to Hamad Ba, since Lamin Cham is not important in politics. I cannot understand how Mr. Ba, who is an experienced politician, can blind himself to the growing dissatisfaction among Gambians about the bad administration of the government of which he himself is an integral part. Can't he hear the crisis of corruption, incompetence, and tribalism that is coming from all corners for the country? Every day, someone would join the political field to bring to an end to the catastrophic regime of Adama Barrow. How can an intelligent man like Hamad Ba fail to see the growing unpopularity of Barrow? He asks. The UDP regional chairman added that he is not surprised that Hamad Ba is sugar-coating every speech he makes in front of Barrow because he is an expert in pretension. I know him very well. Let Barrow ask Hamad to be frank and truthful about why he disappeared during the coalition campaign. He will never be honest with the answer. He simply ran away because of selfish reasons. He never believed that the coalition will win, but when that was achieved, he rose to take center stage. Barrow should watch Hamad very carefully, Karamo Njai said. He accused Hamad of being an unprincipled politician who sold his party to the NPP alongside all the good values he ever stood for. It ends there. So let's see another story whether we can attack this one. Maybe this one for Isafar. If at all it is not too long, we try to add that one. Or the point story which one Senkem Disa. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Gambian could apply Senkem visa from Banyil. This one by Sana Kamara. Read by Hajarwan AR Radio Salgerona, Spain. Now the details. Gambians today face a situation similar to what, for example, Fiji, a country in the Pacific Ocean, faced in accessing Schengen visa to travel to Europe. Like the Fijians, most Gambians travel between 5 to 7 hours by land across the border to neighboring Dhaka, Senegal to apply for a travel visa. Senkem. To Europe, after a few years of negotiations, Fijians can now take their passport to a private agency within their country, which is entitled to collect the biometric data and process the visa in cooperation with the relevant consulates situated up to a 24 hours flight from Fiji. However, Gambians too could turn their back to this challenge. One day, if a similar arrangement could be obtained in the country, if Fiji, thanks to the coordination rather of the local European delegation, where His Excellency Mr. Corrado Pampaloni was posted at the time, and the member states adhering to Schengen, the difficult situation of traveling around half of the globe to be or to get a visa was put to an end by means of this arrangement. In an interview at his office, the same diplomat who assumed office early 2021 in Banjul at the height of bilateral challenge between the EU and Banjul over migration policies, told the Point last Thursday that the Gambia could hypothetically benefit from similar gesture that would enable her citizens to apply visa in Banjul instead of traveling to Dhaka and staying days for appointment, interviews, and outcomes, all at a cost to the applicant. We managed to convince some capitals of the member states to contract an agency for a passport and data collection department in Suva and deliver the applications each week, of course, with a cost on member states. Although the applicants has to pay a fee, obviously there has to be economic justifications for the service. Luckily, Fiji has already an agency locally doing visa application services for the UK, Norway, and Canada, he explains. And once described by international relations analysis as one of the EU's favorite after the change of government, the Gambia recently managed to end up on the list of 3 countries to which the EU may apply visa restrictions. This may happen if the country continues to maintain non-cooperative stance on the repatriation of her citizens due to return from EU, due for returns from EU countries rather. In 2015, a record number of people tried to reach Europe by all means, often risking their lives along their journeys, although the number of irregular arrivals in the EU today is back to pre-crisis levels. Immigration remains one of the key concerns of European citizens and is expected to remain a challenge for years to come. In an interview last week, Ambassador Pampaloni said he prefers open dialogue to action diplomacy. Therefore, he continues to engage Banjul through dialogue over any matters between the 2 countries. As far as migration issue and other matters are concerned, with the aim of smoothing the differences and come to a mutual understanding, After all, Banjul and Brussels have excellent relations in so many other fields, and we need to capitalize on that, he said. Asked if there would be a time that the EU will adopt legal pathways to enter Europe. The diplomat said that this great tool is already part of the important policy package of the European countries and a part of the concept that is behind Dublin 3. Entering the EU as a non-European is not too difficult for people from stable countries. Those planning to visit one or more EU member states can get in as a tourist with a visa. If the intention is to live and work for the longer period, they can use the many possibilities. Offered by labor migration regular. Mobility schemes also include provisions for other categories such as students, researchers, EU pairs, and voluntary workers. People wishing to join a family member who is already residing legally in the EU might even be eligible for family reunification, he said. Under the Erasmus Plus programs, the EU allows exchange for university students with outstanding background to pursue their education in Europe at no cost other than their own support. Then they return to their countries upon completion. EU is currently pursuing several options that allow legal pathways to migration, including education, skills, training, among others. Europe will rather have qualified migration, allowing people with employable skills into Europe to find jobs and integrate in Europe legally, he further explained. EU's diplomat mission to the Gambia was upgraded from an antenna having a charge the affair as head of the mission to a full embassy having an ambassador in 2015. In the former format, the mission was overseen by the EU embassy in Dhaka and had limited staff and diplomatic functions. The EU is one of the great supporters of the democratic change that occurred in 2017 and co-chaired with the Gambia, the International Conference for Gambia held in Brussels in 2018, where 1.45 billion euros have been pledged to help the effort to the democratic transition. If we engage some key member states over the visa and consular services issue, I hope that in a near future we'll be able to reach this. Gambia deserves an agency for consular service, he said it ends there. So stay tuned there. Don't go away. We will be back momentarily in another bulletins, or the particular one in English. So we'll be back momentarily in a while. So stay tuned there. Don't go away. Please, when you just glance on our platform, don't hesitate to subscribe. Don't hesitate to like, and also just put the small bell on the side for any alert whenever we are on the stage the bell will alert you that we are set. So stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be back momentarily in Mandinka or continue with English with other stories.